Table topics, again, is an opportunity for the members and guests to learn how to speak extemporaneously or off the cuff. Oftentimes in business, we'll be asked a question out at a social event. We'll be asked to comment on a topic that we've not prepared to respond to. So table topics gives us that opportunity to practice those situations. What we have to do as members is, and the members know this, but the guests don't know this, but table topics is generally a real fun part of Toastmasters. The questions are usually fun, the responses are usually bring lots of laughter, but we also have to remember that they can be serious, and we should move towards asking serious questions in table topics so that we get the experience of answering or responding to a serious topic. What I would like to do, if you might have noticed, I've not mentioned that the table topics is a question and the response is an answer, because we would like to try, our table topics ask you to try to avoid answering the question. You're responding to the question, or not even the question, to the comment. And to do that, we Toastmasters would like you to think of it in, or learn the ability to create a mini speech. And that's how you respond to table topics. For instance, if the subject is, or the question or the comment that you're asked to respond to is, what did you think of the last presidential election? Rather than just saying, well, I thought it was, rigged, and I think that Romney should have won. You can respond by saying, my thoughts of the last presidential election, and that does two things. That gives you an introduction to a mini speech, but it also gives you 5 more seconds to think of a response. So now you've extended your response time from 30 to 35 seconds. Then from that point you can build into whatever your response is. Your response does not necessarily have to directly answer the question, or your mini speech does not have to directly respond to the question. You can divert the question into something that you know have more familiarity with. Politicians do this all the time. If the politician is asked about what his position is on raising income taxes, he will generally divert that question into the need for more public reform, or the need for social services, safety nets, safety net health clinics. And he'll do that by saying, increases to income taxes are important, but what we would spend the money on. So he really doesn't respond to the question of how he feels about taxes, but he will focus his answer on some issue that he feels is more important. That is a correct response to a table topics that can be used when necessary, but it's not encouraged to always divert, because in social situations you do want to be able to keep the conversation going by responding to the questions. So here are some of the things that table topic or Toastmasters suggests you do to be able to respond better to table topics. Build your knowledge base. So the more things you know, the easier it will be to respond to a comment or a topic. And you can build your knowledge base. Pay attention to the news, read the newspaper on a regular basis, read current magazines on a regular basis. I have a Twitter account, and now I know that for the most part Twitter is for the younger generation, and I've had my Twitter account for 2 years. I have 23 tweets in my 2 years. 15 of them were in response to one of my daughter's classmates died of cancer in 2011, and everybody, it just was trending, trend ATB. So hashtag ATB. And so I sent out hashtag ATB to any prominent celebrity or politician that I knew that had a Twitter. But what I use Twitter for is I follow the New York Times, the Kansas City Business Journal, the Kansas City Star, ESPN, Time Magazine, and I get tweets from them constantly about what they think is current news. And I read the headline. If it's interesting to me, I'll read the story. If it's not interesting, then it just passes. But what that helps me do is it saves the amount of time that it takes to read newspapers, watch the news, and read magazines. I get to pick and choose, and it's all coming to me one at a time as opposed to a whole magazine. Build your knowledge base is key to responding to table topics. Again, we talked about presenting your table topics as a mini speech. Respond to the question as the first line, that's your introduction. Build the speech and then repeat the question again at the end, and you've just built a little mini speech. Emphasize your physical presentation. So when you're presenting table topics, move around just like you were giving a speech. It keeps the audience engaged. Use your eye contact with everyone in the audience. Oftentimes, the responder to table topics responds only to the table topics master, because that person is the one who asked the question. So remember to use the whole audience. Think of it as a speech. Lastly, what table topics says is to have fun, or what Toastmasters says about table topics is to have fun. It's always going to be a fun opportunity to speak. It's always, the responses are always creative because they're thought of in 30 or 40 seconds. But remember, it is a learning opportunity, and Toastmasters, values that opportunity to learn. With that, I'd like to introduce our Table Topics Master for today, Mr. Bill Hawthorne.